showed up early in the morning, summoning you to the hold, where you discovered that the secure storage had been ripped into somehow. Flinders is there and has been blamed, at least in some way, for the break-in. Crewman on watch was stabbed to death. Valuables and artifacts and your artifact box are missing. The captain wants you to help look for the item. Wright and Brady are shown a Chris knife that is found in Flinders' hand. Excuse me. And you guys ask the bursar if he's looked into any of his people as to whether he can trust them. Are there any crewmen on board that are suspect? He promises to look into this. You question Flinders, who saw two people. He had followed the Mediterranean fellow down here that you had asked to look into. Heard a wet slapping sound before being knocked out, and there were some smoky wisps through the room. Mr. Hughes was at the top of the stairs as you exited, interested to talk to... Sorry, spicy. Got a clear throat. Mr. Hughes is at the top of the stairs, interested to talk to Mr. Wright. The crawling chaos had been meeting with someone from the upper decks. He also mentions that there were some strange things seen on the lower decks the last night. Smoke and strange noises were heard. You give Hughes some misleading information that the item is with the captain. To further support this, there are items that are being ferried from the hold to somewhere else for safekeeping, obviously since it's been broken into. You decide to bring one of the trap boxes to the captain for him to keep safe. You reconvene in Nora's room and just have some chat about some of the stuff that's going on. You wonder, what did the fish people fear, and what might you use against them? Should you potentially put someone in a life raft overnight to watch the deck? Discuss further what you're going to do. Think about whether you should try and get this book from Mrs. Hastings. Whether you... that's weird. I have a note here that's just breakfast, question mark. So I'm not sure what I meant by that. I guess, no, sorry, as to whether you should go to breakfast and then bring the box to the captain. Draper stays in the room with the box. Wright and Brady take the other box to the captain. The first mate Smith takes you down to the captain's quarters to allow you in to place the item in there for safekeeping. Mr. Brady finds a postcard from Atlantic City signed with a C and addressed to Pookie with a kiss upon it. With a spot hidden, the bed is messed up, which would be unusual for a Navy man. Mr. Watson and Miss Baker are off to find Mrs. Hastings. They discuss the date Miss Baker had the night before with Mrs. Hastings. They're unable to get in, though. Mrs. Hastings is not feeling well. At breakfast, Baker overhears one couple talking about the break-ins and some jewels being stolen, the family fortune. Watts listens for talk of the ladies in the smoking lounge the night before, which there is some. And you discuss the card. You believe that the woman might be part of the crawling chaos, and it's pretty unusual that the captain's bed was ruffled. Mrs. Hastings enters the dining hall a little bit late, closer to lunch, looking rather ill. Watts and Baker approach her. She is definitely not well and then wants food and promises to speak with you later. Watts goes to speak to Flinders. He gets a little bit more information on Flinders. Flinders had heard some strange chanting and deep voices the night before. And finally, you do an appraisal. Brady does an appraisal on the knife with a hard success and finds that it looks like it has degraded over time due to exposure to salt water and believes it would have been used for ceremonial sacrifices. Finally, there was a critical occult success roll about knowing more about the deep ones. It was an incredible, I think, one of our first absolute critical successes. And I promised you a little bit more information about that. So I spent a bit of time going back through my notes and the official documents, etc. So basically, in thinking back, you have a eureka moment connecting together some of the different types of research that you have done and things that you have read in various publications, connecting together some ancient tales with some more modern sightings around New England. You are able to piece together that the ancient rites of some cults that go back across the seas and different places and times mention both Dagon and Hydra mention examples of the beings that the Deep Ones worship. And not just that, but they actually are Deep Ones themselves. Dagon and Hydra are simply very old, powerful Deep Ones. They, in turn, worship Cthulhu and act in Cthulhu's interest. As to what exactly they want and seek out, that you do not know. But enclaves of humans throughout history have worshipped the Deep Ones and, by extension, Cthulhu. The Deep One hybrids, which are a combination of humans and Deep Ones, are created by the mating of human cultists with Deep Ones. These hybrids seek to prove themselves in service and transform fully into a full Deep One, but many of them go simply mad in the process. They are notably strong, but not inhumanly so, in regards to being able to potentially break down a door. They do not possess strength naturally that would allow them to do that for like a strong ship metal door. And that you do remember that there have been some occult mentionings of them possessing magical powers, though it does not say that you do not believe that they are like all magical. With that, anything else that you guys would like to cover in terms of what happened last time, or things to kick off tonight's session?
I'm gonna hold on to the information of the epiphany I just had. It's more so I want to wait for an opportunity. Like if we find something that we'll check and then find out, and then I'll share that info. I might share it with one of you for now.
That's weird. So there's a comment on the stream that apparently the audio is very quiet, or at least my audio is very quiet.
Let me to check.
Yeah, if you want to pop in and see if there's something to do. Since Jeff takes the recording and uploads it to YouTube later.
Test 1 2.
Test.
Okay, I can hear myself. You're very quiet, Mike. And
I am very quiet, weird, but I'm okay on here.
yeah, you're okay in Discord.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on, here we go. Test. Okay, how about now if on the actual stream? Does that make a difference? Test.
I'm kind of like fully maxed out. Gonna go up a bit more.
I can turn my volume up on here a little bit more. Yes, that's weird. Testing, test. Hello, test. That's really weird. Yeah, like the little microphone thing shows it kind of just getting up into the yellow. I'm not sure.
I mean, like if you put the stream on full max, you're fine.
Okay. I don't know. I guess it is what it is. We don't want to spend too much time fiddling around with this for our thousands of fans. Emily's feeding the cats. Well, anyway, we'll kick it off. It is Thursday, February 28th, 1923. It is now heading towards the afternoon. Like I mentioned, it was about midday. And you guys have a handful of different things to potentially look into or people to track down. I will say that the weather continues to turn. While the storm is still notably to the south, the day is growing further overcast and the wind is picking up. The boat is more obviously and prominently rocking in rough seas, although not to any like major concern at this point. Just it's noticeable.
Sorry, where were we when I got all that information? We were in the room, right?
I think you guys were in the room. I could be wrong, but I was pretty sure. Yeah, you were. Either you were in the room or you were in the meal hall. But I think you had finished in the meal hall.
Yeah, no, I think we had gone back to the room to discuss more. I think.
And brought Draper some lunch, no doubt.
Of course. Such a good lad watching this burden
Get out
for
of
us.
there. Get out. What are you doing? Stop. Draper is appreciative of the food, and no doubt, given his player's missing status, you will leave him to keep an eye on the box.
Nora's going to take a sort of casual glance around and just sort of make sure it doesn't look like he's been rifling through any of her shit. We don't have to actually roll that now, just in case he might have been, but I'm just saying. She's suspicious.
Is noted.
He's the one she doesn't know, so. Otherwise, I don't know. I guess, yeah, Nora would make sure that her pockets are stuffed full of tobacco and bullets. And possibly a flask if Watts hasn't drank them all already, just in case she needs it.
I haven't been drinking it all.
Steal your nerves.
Well, just in case she also needs to, bribe people with it or something. So we had asked Miss Hastings basically to let us know when she wanted to talk. So that was kind of in her court.
Yeah, so I mean, you can certainly try and track her down once more, or track down the book itself. And in terms of other loose ends, there is obviously the crawling chaos. Where are they on the boat? You have the woman who had been seen with the captain, and the captain is on the bridge presently, dealing with the running of the ship, the sailing of the ship, and her two accomplices have not been seen this morning down below decks. Hughes is scurrying around somewhere looking into things for you. Obviously.
We should probably get Flinders out.
And then, Flinders is under lock and key.
Optional side quest.
Nora's not going to suggest that.
I believe Watts had actually specifically suggested not doing that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, because you guys talked to him already and he was fine.
I talked to him and realized that he's oversharing information, and that's why we're. Yeah.
He can stay there for now. Did we see the mysterious lady that was sitting at the captain's table at breakfast this morning?
You did not. But you were late to breakfast. You could well have missed her.
Yeah, I think Nora's going to suggest, I think we probably want to find out more about this friend of the captain's and what exactly her goals may be. Perhaps I should simply take up a station somewhere on the deck and keep an eye out for her. See if we can discern exactly where her room is and any more details.
She's very crafty and capable, that one.
Indeed. Perhaps if I am casual enough, she will not be suspicious of me. But I don't intend to approach her, just keep an eye out, as it were. If we can confirm her name starts with a C, at least, we may have further leads as far as who she is and what she is up to.
Well, we do know her name is Cuthbert.
That's true. I wonder. It is likely to be her, but we can confirm anything at all at this point. It would be beneficial. Perhaps one of us should simply call the captain Pookie and see how he responds.
And apparently she does wear red lipstick, so.
All of this waiting around, it's certainly not easy. But the trap is laid. We do have a way to perhaps separate those two if she's caught in the act. But perhaps we could sow more seeds of a discord. Maybe relay a tale of similar things, such as our previous escapade in Arkham.
Worthwhile. See if we can win the captain over with stories of similar experiences. I think I may try and find this Cuthbert and see if perhaps one of her handkerchiefs can be misplaced in the first mate's pocket or something of the like. We can sow some seeds of distrust there. Perhaps we can cut her off from whatever she is planning.
I am curious where those two from the lower decks ended up. While there's nothing we could do if we actually found them, it is good to know where our adversaries are.
Unfortunate we can't trust our assistant in the lower decks, but perhaps Mr. Hughes can look for them for us. He seems slightly more reliable than Flinders, or at least less more reliable than Flinders.
Certainly more expensive.
Expensive is relative. If we are able to survive this journey with our artifact in tow, it should prove worthwhile.
We might have to keep a running tally so that we can maybe see about getting reimbursement from
Wick.
Mr. Abner Wick. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. I've been writing down all of my expenses, including Mr. Watt's birthday extravaganza. Mr. Wick is going to pay for absolutely everything.
I agree. I think that is a good idea, though. I might use my time here and try and maybe walk the most public areas to see if I can note anything suspicious or maybe see anyone that I might find that we've since talked to since being on the boat, and see if I can get an update.
Perhaps that is best for now. We all pretend to be merely tourists and blend in a little. Try and stick to the more public areas. We still don't know exactly where our enemies are.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't against your idea of a good old-fashioned stakeout. See if we can find any fish people out on the decks tonight.
That also does seem like a worthwhile endeavor. I wonder where they would try and attack next if they've discovered they don't have what they're looking for.
You know, something's not sitting right with me. I keep thinking that I know something. And I think it's related to these people of the deep. And I think if I remember right, if I remember correctly, there's these people, like human worshippers of them, that will dedicate. I mean, like, it's never been proven or anything, but they'll dedicate themselves to wanting to become one of
Fish
these people
people.
of the deep. Yes,
Like transforming with gills and everything.
Well, they want to be one. I don't know if they can ever become one, but obviously there's magic involved. Like, when I say magic, I mean like weird stuff goes on. We've seen it.
Well, fair enough, but just because one wishes to turn into a horrible monster doesn't make it reality.
Also, as an aside, fish people just sound so ridiculous. We do need to come up with a new term for this.
Deep ones. That's what they
That
call.
sounds entirely too, don't know, mysterious. I don't like it.
Well, anyway,
Even something like tall fish, long fish. I don't know. Something that's not
Long
fish people.
fish, yes, that sounds
how
very
about
appetizing.
How about sea walkers?
Gill people.
The Gillians, yeah.
Gillian.
Well, anyway, these people that dedicate themselves, I believe that they have to somehow show their loyalty to them to be accepted. But I do also believe I read something where they get given certain transformative traits about them. So, like, not all the way transformed to a deep one or Gillian, whatever stupid name you want to call them. But look for people that might be covering something up. Perhaps maybe guilt
People
behind
who
the
look
ears.
fishy.
Not fishy. I knew you. I didn't want to tell you guys because I knew you'd be making fun of me. You wouldn't believe me.
I apologize. I couldn't resist the pun, but I do believe you, and you're probably right. It's just disturbing to think of.
Like collars, hats, gloves in weird places.
So you're saying they're partially transformed.
Yeah, I believe they have some traits.
Are they able to transform back temporarily, or
Well, none of this has been proven or disproven before, so I'm not an expert. This is just the extract I remember back in the day. I read it once.
Miss Liffer described a crewman, but with unmistakable fish qualities, scales, large eyes, something that can't be hidden with different attire changes. I'm wondering if perhaps they can revert back, or maybe they change during the night, like that werewolf fiction.
You mean
A
maybe-
werefish.
It was simply the closest analog I could think of.
So perhaps at night they transform, or under certain conditions, perhaps when wet.
This is all still quite foreign to me, so I'm just throwing out ideas. If it was a crewman, as Lifford suggested, I imagine he's not working while appearing as a fish. And they would have noticed if one of their crewmen went missing, if he transformed and then was no longer able to work.
Is there shifts between crewmen? Like, do they split shifts between night and day?
There would be, I believe, 3 shifts.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, then I guess maybe it would be important to maybe look throughout the night, and if the crew, would we know that, I guess? Sorry. Would we know that in game?
Maybe not specifically, but I think you would probably expect as much, that they would either be running 2 shifts or 3 shifts, probably like maybe both depending on the position.
Okay.
Because essentially it's like, 2 12-hour shifts would mean that there's no overlap, whereas like 3 10-hour shifts would provide overlap.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it would be important to maybe split up, kind of when we stake out. Maybe stake out in the evening. I don't know if we want to do groups of 2 in that aspect, but it might be important to try and get an eye of the crewman in the evening.
We do have the purser looking over his crew again. Not
Yeah.
that I expect all that much from him.
No, but there may be something he can discover for us. I suspect that if there is a crew member involved, there's likely more than one. Perhaps a supervisor or higher up person is covering for some crewmen who are not necessarily doing their duties while they perform other tasks. It would be an easy way of getting them on board the ship.
And
If
it's
a
a he's a pretty busy person, and it would be, at least in my thought, it'd be hard for him to notice every subtlety or like nuance to every person on
He
part
can't
of the crew.
possibly vet every single employee on this boat.
Exactly.
If a crewman is involved, it goes without saying that they're an avid follower of whatever this movement is. If they're okay with their fellow crewmen being put down, and if they're partially transformed.
It makes me wonder too if they're new to this journey, or if they've been a crew member for quite a while.
Imagine the new ones would be the first that our purser would be looking at.
You would hope. But can we completely rule out him?
It may be worth spending some time speaking with the captain. I would like to get some more details on what exactly he has experienced. Perhaps I can lend some further details. Perhaps there are other strange things that have happened on this very ship that can lead us down the right path. I don't feel I am exactly the right one to speak with him necessarily, but if someone wished to have a conversation or two, asking more about what he had experienced, perhaps with a nice drink if he seemed so inclined.
After the last scenario that me and Mr. Wright found ourselves in with the crew member and trying to hide away the package inside of the captain's room, I'm pretty what's the word? I guess impressed with how he is able to pull the veil over someone's eyes. Smooth talk.
Well, I've had to do an awful lot of footwork in my line of work. Helps to be able to adapt.
You do seem like a likely candidate. If you fail to get too much information out of him or have good luck, perhaps we can recruit Miss Hastings to have a conversation or two.
It would
We need to
help.
speak-
Go ahead.
So we do need to speak to Miss Hastings. I do need to see that book. It'll be able to confirm everything I've been saying, and perhaps we can find out what it does, if they do have the characteristics all the time, or they can be summoned when needed.
Yeah, that would be pretty helpful.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know if Watts will go on his own though. Yeah, I'm realizing that I'm not very good at the sweet talk.
Sure, there could be some overlaps.
Yes, exactly. What time is it? For some reason, I'm having a craving for steak.
Well, I'm certain they have fish.
Are you craving shrimp with that steak?
Not a bad idea. You ever tried lobster and steak?
Oh, probably a better combination.
Oh, it is. Trust me. It's very unusual, but it's very delightful.
All right. Well, unless you guys want to discuss further, why don't we kick it off with Nora heading out to the deck?
Right. Yeah, I will find. I guess probably she'd have some kind of like, cheap paperback novels that she brought along for the trip. So she'd just like find a place on the deck to sort of have a seat and chain smoke while pretending to read whatever book she has along, and sort of keeping an eye out for this Cuthbert person and any other sort of, I don't know, suspicious people or
The
people
modern
she's noticed many times.
the modern paperback was not published until 1935.
All right, well, some sort of
Hardbound book.
sure.
Yeah, that's funny. I would have thought it was older than that. All right, so you head out through the halls and onto the deck surrounding the ship. The first class deck, or are you going to the lower class deck?
The first class deck. We're pretty sure that she's a ritzy lady, so I will hang out on the first class deck. But if there's like a chair where I can sort of see through the railing down below and keep a wider eye out, for anyone I might recognize, I would do that.
As you exit onto the first class deck, you're greeted by the salty tang of sea spray as the ship is clearly at full steam, plowing through the choppy waves. The deck does not have a terribly large number of people on it, but there's certainly a few people out there, some of which seem totally fine with the fact that it is getting a little wet and choppy, and some others are relieving themselves over the side of the banister because they feel ill.
Lovely.
Which side of the ship would you have exited onto first?
I'm not really sure where we. I guess whatever side of the ship we're closer to.
You are on the port side facing north. So that would be where you'd exit onto. Looking around, as I said, there's not a ton of people here. You do not spot her at a glance on this side of the deck.
All right, is there like a larger area that sort of people congregate in more to like sit down and stuff? Like I'm imagining there's a sort of deck space that.
Yeah, so there is in the front, and there's also obviously the other side of the ship as well, which you can't see right now. There is a deck running along the. In fact, let's move it over so you can see it. There we go. The ship, the SS President Van Buren. So you have like the upper class decks would be like. Oh, where's my free hand? Yeah. Like over here, and then you've got like a side area like along there, versus like the lower class like people hanging out over here.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, I would head to like the middle area that looks like it's more of like an open sort of area and find a place to sit that is not too close to the railing and the people throwing up, and I don't know, sort of shaded from wind if possible.
It's a little bit shaded from wind thanks to the obviously build area in front of it, but the wind is coming up from the south, so if anything there's like a further wind cutting through across this deck. As you look across, you see certainly there's some more people who are standing around out here, some smoking or taking in some of the sea air. You do see a few more people who are standing towards the other side of the boat, looking towards the south, where you can see in the distance the roiling, thunderous clouds.
Lovely. Okay. Do the clouds look like they are approaching like swiftly? We're moving away from them, I believe you said. Like they changed course.
Yes, the boat is attempting to move away from them. The clouds, I mean, it's hard to tell at a glance, but they don't seem farther away than they were earlier.
Cool. All right. Well, I will find a spot to sit, sort of keep an eye on as much of this middle open area as possible, and like pretend to read my book and smoke some cigarettes for a bit.
All right, so you're hanging out, smoking your cigarettes. We will jump over to Brady. So you're going for just a general peruse of the interior of the ship.
Yeah, kind of just anywhere they're the public access.
So we head over back to the public areas. Boop. Give you an idea of some of the places. There's the first class lounge. There is the gym. Obviously the first class deck, which is where Nora is. And there's a dining hall and the smoking parlor. There's also a small library, as well as a few other smaller... Oh my god, exploding with sneezes. Sorry. As well as some other general hallways and places that you can go. And below decks.
Yeah. I guess wherever's closest for me, but I guess maybe immediately maybe the deck. And then the first class deck. Whatever would make sense in succession to the next, but could possibly do all or...
Yeah, I mean, you can certainly
unless
make your way
you-
around in general, just sort of going from place to place.
Okay.
You would be going across the first class deck in some cases to get from place to place. Obviously, there are some internal hallways. If you bring up the map... Oh, where is it? Map. Boop.
This was what I was thinking Nora was reading.
Okay. It's a little hard to see on this. It doesn't really have the outside. Anyway, yeah. So moving around on the ship, much like the outside on the deck, where you can see that there's not a ton of people out there. More people are inside, staying out of the elements. But it seems like there has been a notable retreat of people to their cabins while the ship is getting a bit choppier, and now that the lunch rush is over. In terms of looking around for familiar faces, you don't see either of the two crawling chaos members, or Mrs. Hastings, Mrs. Hastings, or Miss Cuthbert. But you do spot, as you are moving through the central part of the ship, Cox, the assistant to, or the butler or whatever, to Mrs. Hastings. Descending with haste down into the lower hold.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm going to kind of keep my distance, but maybe follow for now.
Give me a what's it called? Is this a sneak skill or something? What is the thing for that? Stealth.
Stealth. Oof. Yep.
So you follow along, and you are not terribly stealthy about it. But it seems like he is basically not really paying much attention. So he may well have noticed you, but doesn't really care. He seems to be in a hurry to get to where he's going. As you kind of follow along behind, you see him descend down into first arguing with the crewman on duty, and then being permitted to enter into the lower area where the break-in happened.
I guess I will table it for now. And I will go back to perusing the deck and then maybe the other public rooms. That will be something I note and tell the others.
Alrighty. As you head back up towards the upper decks, you're wandering about, just seeing who's about. You run into the bursar on his way back down towards the lower decks from the upper.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing you here. Anything going on? Anything in particular, or?
He says, it says like, well, we're in the midst of moving the valuables to other alternative safe storage, of course. But I have not had a chance to look into reviewing the crew manifest as you requested. I will say offhand, I don't think we'll find much while we do pick up some new crew members. Whenever we reach a new port and see a few off, that's totally normal. While considering that we are a well-respected passenger vessel, I will say that we generally only pick up crew with impeccable records and references. But I do have one unusual thing to report. While we've been going through the stores to check that nothing is missing, I did note that we are short a few extra uniforms.
That is something that's a very important thing to note. Any idea where they might have gone?
Oh, I'm sure they'll turn up. They probably just got placed somewhere that is not the intended storage area. But everything is a little bit of a mess right now, as we have to transport these valuables around. It's easy for something to go missing. I can't imagine they were gone before that.
So you're saying that you're moving the valuables to another location. Is it also secure?
Well, I should hope so, but then again, the secure storage was the most secure place on the ship, and it got broken into. So I suppose obscurity is going to be our next best cover.
Are you going to have any crewmen watch over this actively?
It says, it's like, well, I suppose I shouldn't give away too many specifics, but of course we will be making sure to keep watch over the valuables. But we don't want to bring too much attention to where we move them.
I would agree. Since the uniforms are missing, is there any particular way you're vetting out your crewmen to make sure that they are who they're supposed to be?
Well, we take roll call, the changing of every shift, so at the very least everybody should be accounted for, and if they're not, I'll hear about it. Beyond that, I will be going back over the records with a fine-tooth comb once I've dealt with all the matters today. I'll let you know if I find anything.
Okay. Yes, do keep us updated. I do appreciate the information you gave us.
And with that, I mean, you'll certainly spend some more time wandering around, but for now, at least, unless something else triggers something, that is the meaningful things that you run into as you peruse. Okay. We will swap back over to... I suppose we'll swap to Mr. Wright. Do you want to seek out the captain now?
Well, imagine it's going to be hard to get the captain alone to chat. So I think Watts said that there was something he wanted to do, but not necessarily alone. I could tag along.
Yeah, it was to see Miss Hastings again, but I don't think I should see her just yet. We only just saw her in the morning where I hounded her.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you could wait a little, it's not like you can't pass a little bit of time and go and try and track her down. But we will switch back over to Nora on the out on the deck. Nora, as you're hanging out and smoking, and you're keeping a one weather eye out, you do see a familiar-looking woman come out onto the deck and approach the railing, looking south towards the storm.
This is the lady that was sitting with the captain?
The lady that was sitting with the captain.
All right. I sort of keep an eye on her for the time being. See if she talks to anyone or seems to make note of anything. If she leaves, then I will try and very casually and as stealthily as possible follow her.
Well, so as you keep an eye on her, I guess for now you're just sort of sitting there. You're probably not really in range to hear her if she speaks to anybody or anything like that. But she does not seem to be speaking to anybody. She stands alone at the railing, looking out across the sea towards the storm.
Don't know if I should try and talk to her. Sure. Nora will sort of close up her book as if she's finished a chapter or something, and tuck it away and head over to the railing, sort of near-ish to where she is, but not right next to her, and sort of light up another cigarette, and then after a few puffs, sort of glance over in her direction and call out, "Would you like one to settle your stomach? I find it does help."
She does not respond to you.
Does she look sick or just sort of staring at the storm and being a snob?
I guess give me a spot hidden. As you squint and look closer, you realize that her eyes have rolled back in her head and only whites look out, and her lips are moving very slightly.
Does this remind me of our witchy friend?
Not specifically. I suppose you could certainly jump to some conclusions around, is she up to something suspicious? But more specifically, no.
Okay, it just seems kind of weird and occulty and I don't know, creepy. Nora will just sort of shrug and put her cigarette pack away and keep smoking, watching what she is doing, wishing she knew more about the occult. I don't know if I should just shoot her or not. How bad is this?
So after some relatively short period of time, a few minutes, you see her suddenly shake her head and look around herself briefly before turning. And if you're looking at her, then she'll turn as she's looking around and lock eyes with you for a moment.
You all right there? You looked a little queasy.
She smiles and says, "Do you have a cigarette, dear?"
Oh, of course. We'll pull one out and offer the pack or whatever, and light it for her.
She takes a long haul on the cigarette, one single drag, before flicking it off into the ocean and turning and striding away from you.
Well, you're welcome.
She does not break stride as she enters into the hall of the towards the cabins.
Nora sort of pause for a moment, take a deep drag off of her own cigarette, and then toss it into the water, and kind of playing up being miffed at the social snub. She will sort of stomp down the hall after the woman, not saying anything, but just sort of heading in the same direction. Not trying to be sneaky, just trying to be, play up the social snub and follow after, sort of see where she's going while looking like she's just heading off somewhere on her own.
Sorry, and you're attempting to follow her?
Yeah, just trying to follow her as if she just happens to be heading that direction and is like irritated and being loud and grumpy as opposed to trying to be sneaky. Misdirection.
Alrighty. You can give me a stealth roll if you're going to try and do so actually stealthily, which obviously will be at some difficulty. Or you can just follow her.
No, I mean, she's not trying to hide the fact she's going the same direction. She's just trying to misdirect so it seems like it's not actually following her.
Alright.
I guess that could still be stealth? I don't know.
Yeah, no, but I suppose you're not trying to hide. I guess, I don't know, I guess you could try and social roll that to be nonchalant. You're not talking. What do we got going on here? I don't know if anything really makes sense for that. Is there like deception? No.
Throw them off your trail.
I don't know. I guess just give me a luck roll.
Okay. Maybe.
Ooh, double 69s. You meander on after her and seeing if you can't keep up with her while not staying right on her heels. And she takes a turn down one of the side halls that leads to the both ascending and descending stairs. As you turn the corner after her, you obviously she went up or down. You decide to try and follow her down, but it turns out that was not actually the direction she went. That was somebody else, and you lose track of her. She actually must have gone upwards.
And she will just kind of keep heading downwards. Go back to check in on Draper. It's been a little while. She is narrowed down somewhat where this woman was going. I assume she was going upwards towards rooms. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I have a vague idea of where she might be staying, and I'm not going to push my luck for now. I'll head back, check on Draper, and see if anybody else has any information.
Alrighty. Then before we hop over to Watson Wright, I will say, Brady, as you are wandering about, you do encounter Mr. Cox returning from down below at some haste back up towards his lady's rooms.
Okay. I'll make a mental note.
I suppose you could also give me a luck roll to see whether you happen to run into Cuthbert, just about of sheer luck.
Okay.
Just for shits and giggles, you're out there wandering around as possible. It's not a huge ship.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So I will say you happen to be walking around on the upper decks midway through the afternoon, and you see her come to the top of the stairs and walk down the hall just ahead of you.
I can verify she's wearing red lipstick.
She's
she's ahead of me. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I suppose you could run up and turn her around.
Is she far enough away that I could just maintain like visibility and not have to roll stealth, or Could I follow?
Yeah, I will say
Or
with a
would it-
hard success on your luck, like you're a little ways down the hall, far enough that you recognized her, but close enough that you recognized her, but far enough that you're like not like right next to her. So you're in a good position to be relatively inconspicuous.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'll just study the situation and see what she's doing.
She heads down towards the end of the hallway, down the length of the different cabins. Reaches the passageway that takes you across to the cabins on the other side of the boat, and turns the corner.
I will give it maybe 10, 15 seconds, and I will not quickly, but I will make my way towards that area.
You follow along, with trying to catch up without being too conspicuous. As you turn the second corner, you just hear the click of a door down in the middle of the hall closing, but you're unable to make out which one it is specifically.
Do I know anybody, crew members, or the captain, or anyone that we've talked to that the room might be on this floor or in this hallway?
Excuse me. Mrs. Hastings is on the other side of this level. At the far end, forward end of the hall. The captain's quarters are at the end of the hall on the side that you're on.
I guess I'm gonna quietly walk down to the end of the hallway and then kind of come back, but very quietly and very like kind of slow. Just kind of sound horning for anything.
Give me a listen roll. About halfway down, you do hear something, but it's difficult to make out which room it is exactly, but it's at least one of 3 rooms that you hear what sounds like a grunting noise as you're passing through that section, but it's only just after you walk past, so it may have been one of several rooms. I will mark it on the map. Which I need to actually make a second level too. Where's the original one? One second. While we're at it. So I will... Sorry, one second, just cropping the original one just so I can paste it to chat. So we have one for it. Oops. The fuck did it just do? Oh, that's because the text is gigantic. Oh shit, what's her name? Mrs. Hastings. There we go. Okay, I pasted in an image that would show you roughly the area.
Okay, so one of those rooms is definitely the captain's.
The captain's at the end of the hall,
Oh, at the end. Okay.
which I marked captain at one end and Mrs. Hastings at the far end of their hall. So you heard a noise from a room that may well have been the room that she went into. It could have been something else,
Okay.
but obviously you might be able to ask the crew, one of the crew members, to confirm this if you build rapport and get them to get you such information potentially.
Okay. I will remember these rooms.
Alrighty. So let's go to Mr. Watts and Mr. Wright.
I reckon the captain's probably not gonna have a breather until like in the evening, right? So I could probably just do something in the interim.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously you could try and interrupt him on the bridge, but you'd have to have probably a pretty good reason to manage to convince him to talk to you. Otherwise, yeah, you'd probably want to catch him before dinner.
Yeah, probably in the meantime, since it's early afternoon, probably just hang around crew quarters, just chat up the crew. First thing would be trying to like talk gossip, see what their reactions to the break-in the other night was, how their morale's doing, losing a crewmate, that kind of thing. See stories, see if any of them have had anything happen in the last, I don't know, their last, while they've been serving, and generally just getting familiar with their faces.
Sure. That sounds like a charm roll if there ever is one. Give me a charm roll.
No.
Damn, you're so good at that too.
Not popular with the seamen.
I will say that, like, yeah, it's like that's not to say that you completely fail. You are very adept at this. It would roll to sort of see, just sort of generally, do you have any particularly extreme, special success? Basically, you have a pleasant afternoon hanging around down in the crew quarters, but they're all a little bit standoffish since you're a first class passenger, and it's a little unusual for you to be coming in hanging out with the hoi polloi, the hired help. But you do glean some interesting insights about who the crew members are, who's been on the ship for a long time, some of the new people. You do find out that they all generally seem to respect the captain, that they get treated pretty well here. It's definitely one of the cushier gigs in terms of working at sea. They hail from a bunch of different places across the US, US, UK, and Europe, with a few people from farther afield. None of them have any particular special interest in the occult or anything very like specifically, nail on the head as far as your current investigation. There is lots of chatter, though, about the death of the one crewman. A few of them knew him well and liked him rather very much. And they're all a little bit upset about the fact, obviously, that there is strange goings on. A few of them did actually experience some of the strange noises and smoke in the night before. But in terms of the shift that you're catching at this time of day, it's people who weren't necessarily like, actually like out working the like third shift. You're catching people who are shifting onto the second shift.
All right.
Oh, Nixes. Oh my god. Hi. Oh, flop.
And Mr. Wright, do you want to Watts, do you want to do anything before you go and try and track down Mrs. Hastings?
Not particularly. I don't like being outside near the ocean or anything?
Well, I think that's probably a good place for a very short bathroom break. Let's take a few minutes, and we'll come back and we'll get on to the evening's festivities. So we're moving into the end of the afternoon. You guys have faffed about and learned a few things and followed some people around, and it is getting on for dinner time. Are you? I guess first and foremost is probably Mr. Wright trying to capture the attention of the captain before he actually heads to dinner. I would assume. So you do manage to catch him, like, literally just outside of the bridge. You get all the way up to there, and he's obviously leaving a bit late. And says, Watts, right? Right. Who's on first? Crap! I had desktop. Jeff's gonna be angry. I think I had all of you guys muted. I don't know for how long.
Let's reenact the jokes and banter we just did.
I mean, I don't know if it's for like going a ways back. I don't know.
Insert laugh track.
Oops. Who knows? Anyway, it is what it is. Right. So the captain says it's like, well, I'm very hungry. It's been a bit of a day. As you can see, we're trying to outrun a storm that it seems to be coming up from the south unusually quickly. If you only need a moment, we can chat right now, but otherwise I would like to get to dinner.
Well, of course, it was nothing important. I was just wondering if you had someone at your table today.
Oh, my schedule is always filled. The captain's table is an honor to sit at, and we try to make sure that all of our premier guests have an opportunity to sit with me over the course of the trip. I would have to defer to the steward as to who he has booked in at my table today.
Of course, that makes perfect sense. Well, allow me to accompany you down then.
He nods and says, if you wish, just to let me pop into my cabin for a moment and freshen up, and then I'll be on my way down there, but it'll only take a minute.
Oh, wait, maybe kick a fake can. Shucks.
It's like, yeah, it's obviously not far from the bridge, and he goes in and comes back out and says, it's like, well, I'm unfortunately can't invite you to dine with me since that is not my choice, but let us head down to get to dinner.
Not to start off morbid, but I'm new to this whole otherworldly business. You said you've been doing this for quite some time?
Sailing or dealing with strange occult matters, or both?
The latter, I suppose.
Well, I did find myself servicing some more unusual outposts of the Empire during World War One, and that certainly took me on some unusual adventures to associate with such areas, whether it be traveling to South America or around the Horn of Africa. We stopped in many faraway ports, and certainly not without the unusual events that go along with it. It seems like the world is ever becoming a smaller place with the speeding up of travel, but there are still many unknowns to be experienced, and I had some opportunities to do so.
The unknowns keep the world interesting, don't they? Always a fresh puzzle to unravel.
So it seems, but these days I'm happy to ply the route between London and New York and see that various travelers get there safely one way or the other.
It can be quite hard to find people you can trust. I hope you've built a network over these years. Especially in your line of work.
Certainly, my bridge crew are a group of men that have been with me for a long time, and I trust each one of them with my life. As are many of the other senior officers on this ship. Beyond that, the people that we have employed here are good men down to the, it seems, though I can't say I know them all personally. As beyond that, I, have a few friends and more from port to port, if you get my drift.
Huh. Well, that's fantastic. Everyone tends to be quite self-interested, just different degrees. So if you found true loyalty, that's quite rare.
Well, I can't say that we don't pay well. I make sure that those trusted members of my crew are well compensated for their efforts, but the SS President Van Buren is no slouch. We make good time across across the Atlantic, and it's a comfortable posting as well as lucrative.
Money always helps.
So who are we talking to again?
The captain.
The captain.
And he's into the occult stuff.
Oh yeah.
Well, he did mention that before. Remember that he said he knew a little bit about it because Wright had sent word that you were traveling with something of some danger. This was like way back at the start.
Right.
Sorry, Wick. W names. Too many W names.
We need more. Well, when we have more time, we can chat on specifics. Our last venture, my group was quite the ordeal. It's funny we were talking about motivations and all that. Professor completely ruined dipping into the occult to make money for his mistress. That tends to be a weak spot for people, their significant others. So.
Well, that's one of the reasons I never settled down. Try to keep moving from port to port, and it's never been an opportunity for me to actually stay in one place long enough to start a family.
That's fair. Yeah, your men easy enough to find motivation with their payments and their adventure, their companionship, but you never know when someone new slips into your purview.
With that, you're entering into the dining hall, and you can see across at the captain's table that he was not entirely truthful about not knowing who he's going to be dining with, as Miss Cuthbert is once again seated right at his right-hand side.
Well, thank you for walking me down. We'll chat later.
And he says, "Yes, later." Not really paying attention as he strides towards the table with a twinkle in his eye.
I find another table to dine.
And I'll sit with him.
Well, that could have gone better.
Yeah, I mean, I find it odd that he's so connected with the occult and Miss Cuthbert too. And do you find he's always being truthful?
Well, I'd pegged him as someone completely trustworthy when we first came on here, but
Right.
he's got a blind spot the size of a log. Seems completely unaware.
Because I think we know why he's got that blind spot.
And why is that?
Different kind of getting pegged. Different kind of getting
His
pegged.
company,
distractions.
precisely. He
Yeah.
even talked to me about
Oh
how
shit, that's actually on
he's
the actual recording.
unattached.
I was joking.
But
The power of a woman can really mar a man's judgment.
love certainly twists a person inside. Oh, you beat me down here. You that hungry? Oh, you've recovered from the ship's unsteadiness over the last few hours.
Not so much. It's just more I've been craving a steak. I think it's all people talk about stakeouts and stuff. It just subliminally made me hungry for one.
Something
there
besides
anybody-
seafood. Oh,
Yeah. So is anyone, any other staff around dressed weird or anything like that? Like just off? Or anybody?
I guess give me a spot hidden. There's a fishman in the corner. The dining hall is once more a little more sparsely populated than you might expect. It seems to be that there's a dwindling turnout for food as people are presumably not dealing well with the choppy waters. In terms of anybody who really stands out as sloppy or unusual, basically, we hard to attribute that to
Wearing, like-
something suspicious when obviously there are people who are looking a little sloppy and out of sorts due to feeling queasy.
It's mostly like clothing weird, like they're wearing their overcoat inside at the table or something, like covering themselves, eating with gloves on. A waiter looking, or like a deck crew member looking a bit strange.
No secret fishmen. There are no secret fishmen in your presence that you can spot.
Okay. What are you having, Mr. Wright? What are you enjoying?
oh. Grab something neutral on the menu, something like potatoes. You have any luck today?
Me? None. I still need to speak to Mrs. Hastings. Her bodyguard stopped me last time and I need to see that book. Answer a lot of questions.
Speaking of which, you do see very obviously Miss Green with a tray of food heading across the dining hall.
There's her guardian.
Lady in waiting.
Lovely she is, isn't she? I guess Miss Hastings is not dining down here today.
They
Or up
did
here.
seem. I heard they were quite perturbed with the other night, so we may not be seeing much of her for a while.
Drinking with Nora can take its toll on you. Let me tell you that. Doesn't go easy.
Well, can't say I had much luck myself today. It's been a while since I took a long voyage. I did a couple fishing trips with the family, but it's been some time now. We're not as close as we were back when I was a child. University and the job does that.
Don't think I could ever fish. For obvious reasons.
You'd be surprised. There's plenty of lakes and streams.
Water in general, I just don't want it. Don't want to be near it if I can avoid it.
You don't enjoy a nice quiet spring. Not even laying next to it. It's some of the most peaceful noise you can find out there.
Wait, FM radios? No, they're not around yet, are they? Or AM?
I think AM radios certainly should be.
I prefer the sound of static myself on the old radio. You know, when you don't have a signal.
Well, I suppose any consistent noises will do the trick. So we're going on a stakeout tonight. Who do you think will pair off?
Where is my steak?
Food arrives shortly thereafter.
Yes, I mean, it makes sense to keep Ronald with the box. Or Mr. Draper.
Yeah, he has been a bit quiet lately.
He has been.
I'm sure he'll be himself tomorrow.
I'm sure, but yeah, stakeout makes sense. I mean, where are we wanting to stake out? What are we staking out? Where? I mean,
I heard mention of staying by the boats,
yeah, I'm not
getting some kind of vantage.
I guess you, Nora, and Benjamin will have to take turns doing that. I'm not going up on near the water at all.
Well, there's other spots towards the center of the ship. Some height.
If I have to.
Just tired of waiting around for these people to make their next move.
They've failed a couple times, it seems, so they might be getting a little bit more anxious. Does the stormy weather not remind you of what happened previously?
Takes a look at the door, even though you wouldn't be able to see anything. Oh, the seas can be like this. Remember one of our fishing trips? It got quite choppy. It can be quite the ordeal, but it's more bark than bite.
Was the captain not saying that they're trying to avoid and go around these storms, yet the storm seems to be following us, catching up, changing its course to intercept ours?
Make the storm seems like it has a mind of its own.
I feel like it's related to what's beneath these other dimensions.
You wouldn't. You think they have domain over the sea and the sky?
Are you
Not domain over that, but more so that these things from these things that keep coming through the other dimension beings and stuff. Bad weather appears, they appear, kind of thing. I feel like there is a connection somewhere.
I was gonna say, Brady and Baker, did you guys also go to dinner at the same time?
I don't know. I had gone back to check on Draper and see if anybody else had turned up, so I guess I would have hung around there for a bit, and then, I don't know, rock, paper, scissors, Draper to see who had to go out and get food for both of us. If that was a thing.
Yeah, I think Rochambeau's existed for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have gone to dinner. Though if I was hungry, I might have just grabbed something. I don't think I actually would have stayed there. I might have just mingled around the public, like the decks and the different rooms, and I might have gone back to my room before going to grab anything to eat.
All right, just checking in terms of the conversation. If you did head down to the dining room, you may well have also then seen Miss Cuthbert and the captain, obviously at the captain's table.
Okay.
Sorry to cut you off. Just wanted to make sure we knew who was there for this conversation.
Yeah. Anyways. But yeah, I feel like the storms seem to connect.
Well, I am the newest to this whole occult business, so I'll
And
defer to your judgment.
what do all ships do when there are heavy storms in the water?
Sail around or sail into it.
So what better place to hide than in the middle of it?
I suppose.
And this lost island that there is, maybe it's a traveling island, who knows?
Well, I'd heard of a sunken island before, but a moving one, that's new.
Well, there are those theories out there that most of our countries around the plains that can shift and move, right? The world will not, the lands did connected at one point and then disconnected and moved around. So it's not unfeasible. If you were to believe those theories, of course. I just hope you
Science
don't.
it's always learning.
It is, and then you have some of those fools that believe that the world is flat and will just fall off one day.
You feel a sudden tipping as the boat tips off the edge of the
Of the world.
The captain's haste to get north, he didn't realize he was reaching the edge.
Well, I am sorry that we've put you through this. It does seem important, and I am glad you're here, regardless.
I get it. I may have been overreacting when I first got on board. I still don't appreciate the manner in which I came aboard, but it was obvious enough that was what was happening, and I just chose to ignore the signals and signs. I secretly wanted to be here, but at the same time I didn't. So I allowed myself to be fooled.
Do you believe in some higher power?
If you're talking about beings, yes. Power, as in a god created this world in 7 days? Perhaps not. But other beings beyond our comprehension? 100%. We've been witness to some strange beings.
Definitely believe that we're here for a purpose. And
You believe in fate?
yes.
I believe in people wanting faith, something to believe in. If it helps them get through the ordeals that they may suffer and face through their life, and faith helps them do that, then albeit for them.
We've all got our rules to play here, and hopefully it leads safely to the other side.
Do I know about Cthulhu?
Yes, that would have been mentioned. It would have been mentioned in some of your studies of the Necronomicon that you tablets you're looking at.
Did it ever describe what it looked like?
Nope. No,
Yeah.
just basically like it's essentially like that would be like one of the hardest things to translate because it essentially is indescribable in some fundamental ways.
Right. Okay. Let's say when we talk about these higher beings, I don't know if they're good. From what I've studied, everything's bad. I hope there's good out there. Get that balance, but everything we've been countering and coming across all leads back to this one being called Cthulhu.
Pardon?
Yes. So these people of the deep, from what I remember, I think I've mentioned it to you before, they worshipped these beings called Dagon and Mother Hydra. That's what they all worship down below. Not good. And these two things worship Cthulhu. Everything leads and points back to Cthulhu. I just hope, with the many faiths around, that all of their gods do exist and can help us through this, and we don't have to ever find out what Cthulhu is or about.
There is some comfort they still have to operate in the shadows. You don't see any large-scale worship or involvement of these.
At the moment, who knows what would have happened if we hadn't stopped what we did at the university. Nor what about the first time that we all met and we had to deal with the other being, that prison that we found. Like things that, didn't you mention about how, was it you that mentioned it, or was it the captain talking about how travel is quicker now? Everything's more easily accessible.
Railroads and cars.
Mm.
Faster and faster ships.
People with ulterior motives can get around a lot quicker and find things a lot faster now with that. It's been how long ago was it that when we did the first mission in the lake thing?
That's a good question.
Either way, it's been a couple years.
Yeah, I think it's been like a year or two because there's been some time jumps.
Yeah, so it's been a couple years and we've already on our third experience of this thing. I feel like it is ramping up a lot.
You guys had your firsts, and you do still need to tell me more about that.
It all started when, and then I'll relay the entire story over dinner talk to
Nice.
you. No better dinner discussion if it's just us two.
You're saying Nora shot all of them?
Yes.
I don't think I witnessed it, right? But I think you'd said. I feel like I chose to turn a blind eye to it at the time.
Do you think
If I remember.
there was any chance they could have been?
No. There were these people there that had run away from a civil war, but still looked healthy as anything. They were not. They were possessed or had some other kind of like. Those soldiers never get that look out of my mind. Talking still young from the Civil War. Slept in coffins in the basement.
I can't say my introduction was quite as dramatic as yours. just rumors and unexplained things that didn't really coalesce until our experience at the college.
Yeah, I understand. It's inexplicable, but we've now witnessed firsthand. So all of these horror stories that we hear and read about, perhaps there's more truth to them than we've ever thought.
Some of them are definitely based in truth, but the question is how many.
Exactly.
Heard me talking about werewolves as if something similar could actually be non-fiction.
I mean,
It's absurd.
in our mind, it's absurd, but I feel like from what I've witnessed, how crazy could it be? I mean, like, it's easy to say, can you prove that it exists, but can you prove that it doesn't? Do werewolves exist in my occult studies?
I'll leave that up to you. Offhand, yeah, I would say offhand, like werewolves, certainly, like it wouldn't be impossible. They're and like, but like specific tie-ins, no.
No, of course, no tie-ins. We're just having a dinner chit chat
Yeah,
here, you
in
know.
terms of pure hypotheticals, yes, werewolves would be something that would potentially exist in your occult studies.
Yeah. I mean, witches exist. You've seen that. Up until
That
2 years
that
ago.
one was having grown up not far from Salem. That one was a little bit easier to believe.
You thought it was all hocus pocus too, I bet.
Not all of it. All of those types of stories are based in a kernel of truth.
And so, if witches you probably didn't believe existed a few years ago, now they do. Why can't werewolves?
Certainly not spell casting witches. That one was a bit of a surprise.
And then vampires, they probably exist.
I do wonder how our professor friend is faring these days. If they've continued to pursue that kind of thing.
To get hooked on a subject, it's very hard to unhook yourself. I can tell you that much for free. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of strange things that we do not understand or will ever witness in our life. We've been unfortunate enough to witness three. Well, I've been unfortunate to witness two things prior to this trip.
And there is still a chance that everything's been on the level and it's just been humans this whole time.
I find that one hard to believe. There's too many links that tie into what I know.
On this ship, at least.
But I think I have to disagree. The details that these passengers are giving, the recounts of their interactions, it all links to much to what these things are. Like, that nothing is unfeasible when they've described these things, and I feel like we should just be on our toes a lot. Look for strange things.
Even if there weren't any unnatural elements at play here, which there very likely are, the people themselves are still quite dangerous and kind of glance over at Cuthbert.
I was about to say, you glance over
Magneto.
and what the fuck? Oh, the left alt and the right alt are not the same key in terms of push to talk. You glance over and realize that neither Cuthbert nor the captain are at their table anymore. And just as you glance over that direction, you feel the artifact in your pocket, Mr. Wright, briefly start a very light thrumming. Gets slightly hotter. And you realize that the Cuthbert and the captain are just passing behind you at that very moment.
Put on my best, this is fine face, and then, is yours any good? And take another bite as they
I've
pass.
finished 5 minutes ago. Did you not notice? I was too enthralled in telling the story.
It takes a bite that there was nothing there. It's just a fork.
It's so funny, Mike. I was literally about to say to Wright to trust his thing a little bit more. But now I'm not going to say it because it's too meta. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you one thing, Mr. Wright. If we find that this whole thing has just been mind tricks that we've put on ourselves, that these things don't exist, then
I don't think it is. But it's important to always keep that perspective, so that we don't lose touch.
I agree, but I'll eat my right shoe, if we find that this isn't related to the mysterious.
Glance at the door. Have they left yet?
Yeah, they are
yeah.
just exiting out the door and turn the corner.
I think things might be even more complicated. Miss Cuthbert seems to be carrying some item of power.
Was she carrying something, like a purse, or was it just on her body?
I'm not sure, but my token, it reacted when they passed.
Thomas looks like absolutely shocked, like excited, like it feels like he's like gonna try and dab in his face with his napkin, like getting ready to leave.
We really need to proceed with caution. This
Right.
She's thoroughly in the captain's blind spot, and we'll have to find a way to sow seeds between them before we do anything drastic.
Pretty sure the captain was going to sow his seeds right then.
That does not seem out of the realm of possibility.
But what I was saying about this previous thing that I'd experienced before, the first time, things can have an influence over unsuspecting minds. So while you got a good read on the captain, you said the first time round, now suddenly has a blind spot with this woman. Perhaps he's unwittingly being controlled, or not controlled, but influenced, should we say?
Regardless, this seems to have been in the works for a while.
This is the first time you've been close to her.
Certainly that close.
Interesting. And when you were speaking to the captain, you didn't notice anything off with the thingy magic?
None at all.
Okay, so clearly. Was Miss Cuthbert carrying a bag with her? Did we notice?
Offhand, no.
Perhaps an item of jewelry.
Potentially. I mean, I have the ring, so they can be kept in small items. You got the thing in your pocket, that's a small item. So, could be her being, it could be...
Do you think an actual... Did my doodad react when the monster from our previous scenario was around?
That's a...
It certainly reacted to the documents
Yeah.
and individual items.
To the monster... I mean, wow, at what point were you near the monster but there wasn't other stuff around?
There was that chase scene.
Yeah, I
Chasing
know,
is-
which was pretty hectic, so...
I took the bag from him and I was faster than everybody and ran ahead.
I was pretty
Yeah.
close to getting Nate.
Yes, he was.
because
Yeah.
Wright is apparently slow AF. There was another supernatural being we ran into, but he had a magical item that we were retrieving.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think whether that would have. I'll say no.
Unsure, says 8 Ball. I certainly hope it isn't the individual dealing with enough problems. We should get back to the others.
Yeah, I mean, this is vital information that we should share. If only Flinders didn't get himself captured, we could have him tail her.
We really do need to talk to Mr. Wick after the end of this. Seems every new revelation brings additional danger.
I'd love to. However, I don't know how I'm going to get back.
They do have airplanes these days.
We are quite the submarine
Transatlantic.
adventure lined up.
Transatlantic airplanes, do they exist?
Hey.
Getting close.
Wouldn't be the one.
Maybe a decade early.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think. Yeah, it was on October 4th, 1958 was the first commercial transatlantic flight.
Oh, frick.
The very first transatlantic flight ever was in 1919.
Oh, okay.
Like, I knew the capability was around that era, but I didn't even think about it being, like, commercial versus... Damn.
Either way, it would be nice to speak to him, but I don't think we are going to survive. I've told you this. I still stand by it.
I don't think we'd be here for all these other things if we were just to perish now.
Like the faith that you have, the belief in fate, and there's more to the story.
Zeppelins were earlier, but 1928. So you still got like 5 years before the first Zeppelin crossed the Atlantic.
That would have been an interesting flight.
Very long.
Yeah. Either way, if we survive, great. I'll eat my left shoe.
Be careful with these promises. I reckon eating shoes is not conducive to health.
Definitely not. Yeah. We're
Stand up
already on
to
our
go.
way back. I was going to say, I thought we were already walking back as we're chatting.
Yeah.
All
Anybody
right.
following
well,
us?
is anybody following you? You could give me a spot hidden, but offhand, no.
Okay.
Yeah, spot hidden to confirm. But yeah, nobody is particularly following you.
Did I catch any, like, comments? Did anyone seem interested in the captain with this new lady that he seems to be with at every dining event?
In your chats with the crew, yeah,
Well,
there
I
may
mean,
have been a few
Reaction in the room
Oh,
as
okay.
they were kind of passing.
Nothing that like really stands out other than that, you know, she's your sort of typical femme fatale, like, you know, she turns some heads. But anything like special that's like, oh, this is so unusual, not particularly. But you know, people are kind of, you know, having their own dinners and stuff.
Alrighty.
Do we get a glimpse of what type of food was taken on the tray?
For Hastings?
Yeah.
No, offhand you did not.
I wonder why she's been sick recently. Is it because of the night with Nora? And the other thing is what got me thinking as well, Mr. Wright, is I I obviously made the connection to the people of the deep and these other things that want to worship them to become one. My very first conversation with Miss Hastings, she was enthralled in them and wanting to meet them. Do you recall?
Yeah, she did seem a bit cavalier with this kind of thing. Maybe her experiences haven't been as harsh.
But I mean, I don't want her to. I don't want us to find that she's one of the worshipees, you know? That's what I'm now thinking. I don't trust anyone now, you know?
None of us.
You guys tricked me on here. A wink.
Touche.
You did say that you found that you
Secretly wanted to be here.
after the fact. Though I don't imagine something like this will ever happen again.
No, I don't imagine either. But it's best we keep an eye on her. You know, hairstyles. Hiding the gills behind her ears, potentially.
I imagine a little bit of suspicion with anyone that deals in this kind of work is warranted.
You think if you did have gills and you took a cigarette, do you think the smoke would come out of the gills? This is just an idle chit chat.
I bet they could blow fantastic smoke rings.
Out of their
6 at
blowholes.
a time. Yeah, out of the blowholes. Where would a blowhole be located on them, do you think? Do you think they uses holes that are already there, or?
Well, I imagine gills would be new.
I don't even know if these things would have gills, these people. It's what you read. You choose to believe, choose not to believe. Like, as you say, werewolves, are they real, are they not real? Can people grow webbed hands?
Interesting you say that. I saw that in a scientific journal not terribly long before this trip. Something to do with strange. They think has to do with the parents. Poor combination.
That somebody might over-evolve somehow, webbed feet, webbed hands, because of apparent mismatch.
Much like how some can get additional fingers or toes.
I mean, I did go to a circus of freaks once. That was quite interesting.
Well, I'm going to cut you guys off so that we can get to an exciting point to end the night before it gets too late. Although it's some very good speculation, which does actually give me a lot of fodder for potential crazy things to happen later.
We all wake up with 6 digits
hands.
and that are webbed.
We can all swim faster.
I'll grow gills. So you return to the rooms and you regroup, and basically, I suppose in terms of your pending items, you got to decide whether you're going to try and see if you can talk to Mrs. Hastings, despite her retiring to her room for the evening, and otherwise whether you were going to try and stake out the deck for the night or other parts of the ship.
I would definitely be volunteering myself to stake out part of the night.
Nora would as well.
Yeah.
Let's all do it together.
All of you just go and load into one of the lifeboats. And the crawling chaos sees you and sends the lifeboat out to sea.
Oh, jeez.
No, I meant I'll be on the top deck. You know, where they might have like shuffleboard and stuff, like the picture on the bottom right.
We could make like a grid, all within line of sight of at least one other person.
Get some cans and some string.
Hey, they have those I forget what they're called, like just long tubes you can yell in, usually for service.
Oh,
yeah.
that's a good question.
I don't know
Those,
if they'd have
those chimney stacks, one of them is not real, so we can lift one up and just stand inside it and we can all walk around.
Yeah, beginning in the 1880s, brass speaking tubes ran through the interior of steamships and were used for internal voice communications. Basically
Wow.
between the bridge and like other like main parts of the ship.
How long before they got
Publicized.
electric communication in there?
I wasn't even aware of the brass speaking tubes.
Not from Cinderella. Cinderella. Weren't they like yelling through the?
I guess I don't remember it.
1930s, I think. Louder phone it's called.
There you go.
I like that it's very literally named. It's just like, it's a speaking tube. What is it? It's a tube. You speak into it.
Hey, it's sometimes simple is good.
The alternative name, voice pipes. Anyway. Okay, so yeah, that probably would be a thing. So who's staking out where?
I'm not particularly scared of open water, so I do one of those positions by the side.
All right. It'll be pretty cold outside overnight, given the northern climes in the middle of the winter.
Nora will bring her blanket and, I don't know, find somewhere sheltered to keep an eye from probably near the edge of the boat, since she's also not particularly scared.
So I guess what it's like, one of you is probably at like the bow, and one of each of you is on like the port and the starboard side, like by the cabins or something.
Yeah.
There's somewhere I can be where I'm not too close to the water. If not, I know what kind of roll's gonna happen.
So you could certainly, obviously, like if you wanted to like, you know, stay down below inside the ship, like, you know, near the storage area or something, would be somewhere you might want to go, or the upper floors to see if people come and go from the cabins late at night.
Yeah, I'll go somewhere like that. What were the two options you said? Sorry, down below or where?
Basically down below or up above. Like basically, would you want to stay up in like the upper like first class cabins to see if anybody's coming and going, or down below in like steerage / the storage area?
I'll go down below. But before, on my way down there though, I will knock on Mrs. Hastings' door.
All right. Well, so on your way down to
Actually, I'll do Mrs. Hastings on the next day.
Okay. So I'll say then, then you wander on out to. We'll say that you guys, take the starboard side, and
Sure.
Mr. Brady can take the port side, and Miss Baker will take the bow.
Works for me.
And hi, puppy. And then Mr. Watts, you go up, go downstairs. So obviously on the inside, you don't really have an opportunity to like super hide somewhere. You're probably just going to be like, you know, wandering around a bit, milling about in the hall, trying not to be too conspicuous.
There's an empty room or something.
So there's certainly no empty rooms. But then there's like, you know, as the night draws on, there's like very few people, if anybody, in like, you know, a few people staying up late who are hanging out, say, in the steerage dining hall, for instance, you know, playing some board games or card games and keeping themselves busy and not going to sleep because they can't or don't want to.
Yeah, I'll go stand in a corner somewhere. Jacket pulled up. hat low on my forehead.
Outside, the evening draws on, and the people who are out on the deck dwindle down to nothing as you only see the crew members keeping watch. The choppy waves continue as the boat rocks more significantly back and forth as it tries to make headway against away from the storm that continues to dog its heels. I will say Nora, Brady, and Wright, give me Constitution rolls to see how you handle the cold. And the
I
damp.
do have a worsted wool dress suit. Oh wait, no. I have outdoor coat, outdoor boots. If that matters at all.
Certainly help.
Feels.
I'll give you the extra 10 with your proper dress for being outside. I'll say that's fair.
Sweet. How about that for last campaign with all
yeah.
the storms?
Yeah, it's well thought. Good provisions. So all of you managed to stave off the cold and stay awake and alert as the night continues on. I will say Brady and Wright give me listen rules.
So did you say me as well or not?
No, you were downstairs. So
Oh no.
Wright is not paying
Deaf.
any attention.
He lost his
to
hearing
sounds.
now.
Yes, it's too cold, can't hear. No, but basically it's like to hear like Brady. You do pick out the sound of a splash coming from the stern of the ship,
Okay.
but it doesn't sound like a very loud splash. Just then you pick it out. It's just something to note. As you are continue to sit there and watch, you see coming from the back of the ship Hughes walking along, heading towards the entrance to back into the cabin area.
Very interesting. Press contact.
Do I correlate those two things, or those are two separate things?
That's up to you. The Hughes does come by a little bit after you heard the splash.
Okay.
As the night continues on, another hour or so passes, and it's getting well past midnight. And I will say Nora and Wright give me listen rolls again. Miss Baker, from the front of the ship, you do not hear this initially, but right, you have your ears peeled once more, and
Roll the little bug out of one of the ears.
you're like, that's weird. What was that doing in there?
It's a shrimp.
Damn jumping shrimps.
You hear a louder splash coming from the side of the ship nearby, and then you hear the sound of something wet slapping upon the deck, just out of your vision range, down to the side.
I'm not a very good hider, but I try to get a closer look as stealthily as I can.
All right, I guess roll a stealth. You peer out, but fortunately, whatever it is not looking in your direction. And what you see is a crumpled, soaked uniform adorning something that seems to not be wearing shoes and is dripping all over the deck.
So he's in between? Who's he in between? Like me and who else?
Basically, you and Nora in the front of the ship. He's, I guess, let's, boop. So, you, in my mind, are over on, like, this deck area. And Nora was hanging out, like, over in this area. And you heard the noise, it's, like, over here.
Well, I will take the opportunity to probably head in the closest person would probably be Brady then.
Yeah, so Brady is just on the other side from you.
Yeah, I'll grab Brady and try and head the other way up to the front. Was it heading a certain direction?
So it was heading down towards well, it's hard to say, but like, yeah, basically it was facing towards the bow of the ship, Nora's direction.
Yeah. Brady, I've seen something on my side of the ship. I think it's what Miss Lifford saw. We need to get to Nora before. I think it was headed that direction. Everyone needs to know. One of us should probably tell Watts too.
Okay. Well, if there's one thing to note, I also heard some noises, some splashes, and shortly after, I don't know if it's correlative or just two separate things, I did see Hughes shortly after I heard the splash, and he entered a room after having seen him.
Strange. I'll go back to grab Watts. You see if you can get to Nora first.
Okay. I'll head to Nora.
1, 2, 3, break.
Nora, as you're watching out onto the deck, you see in the dark with the lights, with just the lights to illuminate it from above, what looks like a crewman, but the uniform is totally soaking wet, dribbling a line of liquid across the deck as it descends from the upper deck down to the lower deck and starts making its way towards the main entrance that goes into the steerage quarters.
Nora will try and intercept it before it heads inside.
How do you do so?
She's just gonna try and like rush over and get in front of them and try and like get a good look at them. Feign concern. Be like, oh geez, what happened? Are you okay? How did you get all soaked? What's going on? And like, yeah. Just try and get in their way and slow them down and get a good look at them.
Nora's evolved from her point and shoot strategy.
The blasting comes later.
Yeah, I mean, if he is legitimately just a soaked crewman, she's not going to blow his head off. But if he's got fish eyes, wow, that's a different story.
As you hop out and start rushing across the deck, and you call out, the thing turns towards you. Its visage is only partially human. It's got spiky razor-like teeth and bulbous eyes, scaly skin along the sides of its neck, and you see as what look like gills flap in the night air. It hisses in your direction, and give me a sanity roll.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Oh, dear.
All right, roll a d4. You lose one sanity, screaming out at the sudden it turns towards you. While you had somewhat steeled yourself for seeing one of these creatures based on the descriptions you had heard before, it does not equal to we got the wrong music playing. It does not equal to what it was truly like to see it suddenly in the night with the light shining down upon it. You fall backwards, scrambling on all fours, back towards some crates upon the deck. It turns towards you, stalking forward, and just as Brady, Wright, and Watts are arriving at the top of the deck, looking down upon you. And we will stop there because it's exciting.